stage is where your journey begins. Our shells are stacked high where the magic never ends. From dice that roll through the tomes ancient and wise, we got all the essentials for your game to arise. With adventure in mind, we craft every piece to make your campaign flourish, more stories increase. For every TTRPG dream, our stories refine. Come find it at Quest, leave the money behind. Epic stages is where you find satisfaction. We bring the spark, you bring the passion. We control the board, you control the action. Epic stages, where legends find traction. Epic stages, where legends find traction.
Hello. Welcome to the next episode of Season 5 of our TTRPG Classrooms. We are here causing all the havoc. Episode, 2024, Season 5. We're calling this one For the Love of the Game, Building Your Own Systems. We are joined by two fantastic, wonderful star guests with us now. I'll introduce them in a second after I push some start the stage buttons over here because, I'm running behind apparently. There we go. And let's get into it. So first on my list is one that just unmuted herself. Suzanne, who are you? What do you do? Where can people find you?
Oh, I'm in Los Angeles, and I am an educator, many years training, implementation, and training. I've written a book called Family Adventures from A to Z using ChatGPT, and I see this artificial intelligence as a powerful connection to help maybe some of our game players generate the new stories, new rooms, new adventures, and expand on their messages and their journeys.
Fantastic. And where else can people find you? What's the website that people can find your stuff at?
Well, the book is available on Amazon, and it's also have a website. I don't know if you put that up there, but it's chatandsuzanne.com. Chatandsuzanne.com. Yeah. Lots of resources, lots of places for beginners, for, even when you're not gaming, just to play different games with your children and in the environment and exploring your world, taking vacations, all kinds of things. The idea behind chat, and I was talking to Jared earlier, the idea behind these games is crafting good prompts, crafting good questions, creating good environments. And so one of the messages in the book is really helping you formulate that, or help you kind of think about the best way to ask a question. And if nothing else, this is a wonderful tool to help finesse that skill.
Fantastic. We'll kind of get into that tonight with some of the stuff that we're talking about. So I'm excited to get there. And next up, Stephanie. Who are you? Where can people find you? What do you do? All your fun stuff.
Hey everyone, I'm Stephanie O'Brien, and I've written 14 novels and one nonfiction book using my own brain. Kind of those novels were teenage practice. I didn't roll high enough on my writing stats to be good enough for my adult standards, so the other 4 are on my author website, Stephanie O'Brien Books. And the one nonfiction book is up on my coaching website, coachclientconnection.com. I'd love to hear from you through either site. And my Stephanie O'Brien books is for my creative endeavors, my novels, my short stories, my webcomic, my art. The other one, Coach Client Connection, is for my coaching, where I help people who are experts in a field to turn that expertise into a coaching or training program so they can train their other players to do whatever they are experts in, to create better relationships, to live healthier lives, and to level up their business stats, to level up whatever stats they help people to level up. So that's who I am, who I help, and how you can find me.
Fantastic. I do really appreciate you throwing in all the leveling comments, because that's right up our alley, so I like that. And of course we got Jared and myself here tonight, causing havoc as per the usual. So let's get started with the first question, right? So the title's kind of long, but starting with Stephanie, because you talked last, wahaha. What is the first thing that comes to mind when we say the whole title? When we say for the love of the game, what is the first thing after hearing that phrase that pops into your head?
The first thing is actually some sort of series that a lot of people in my mutuals and Tumblr have been talking about, but I haven't actually watched personally. The second thing would be, for the love of doing whatever it is that you love to do, for the love of helping people level up their relationships, for the love of helping people to boost their business stat, for the love of helping people to increase their health so they have higher HP, for the love of whatever it is that you've chosen to do with your life to make the world a better place.
Interesting. Okay, I like where your head's at on that one. Suzanne, what about you? When we say for the love of the game, what's the first thing that pops into your head?
The first thing that comes into my mind is a lot of people feel they're not part of the game. A lot of people feel they're missing stuff. A lot of people feel like, how do I get to that point for the love of the game? And so we want to look for the resources, and we want to look for the opportunities to explore so that we can engage at a different level and so that we can participate. And so I think that exploration is a real powerful thing. So yes, it's great for the love of the game, but if I don't feel I'm there yet, then I have to feel like, okay, where can I go and get the support and get the resources that I need? And the first part of that is recognizing it. And the second part of it is really engaging and going the next step.
Fantastic.
That's a fantastic answer.
Yeah, right? Killing it over there. Dang. Jared, what about you?
Oh God, I don't do
Rolled a nat 20.
Well, the first thing with the first part of the title that pops into my brain is now my brain is now running a background search in all of my dusty memory files, because I'm fairly certain For the Love of the Game is also the name of a sports movie, but I can't clearly remember.
It is, but I also don't remember who's in it. Or I want to say it was Jerry Maguire or something, but I could be wrong.
But the other thing that pops into my brain is For the Love of the Game, Crafting Your Own System, the whole title out on its own. I think of the years of homebrew content I've been making for D&D.
Okay, very, very, very true, right? Everyone here who's an author has built way more than they've published. I can pretty much guarantee it, right? Let's see here. So on my end, 100% back with the sports thing. The first thing that pops in my head was just like not pro sports, but semi-pro sports. You have to love whatever sport you are to be a semi-pro. Now, mind you, sometimes it leads on to other things. You know, there's plenty of semi-pros that have gone pro and done other things, but a lot of time it's just like you just weren't quite there, but you still love doing the thing, right? Another great example is like YMCA volleyball teams and whatnot. You know, they generally have those at gyms and things. You're just out there having fun, enjoying yourself. You might not be good at whatsoever, but you're just there to exercise and have fun. The love of the game, right? So the things that you're just putting in there that's for extras. Now, building your own system, right? When we get to that second half of our title here, that really is going to apply very differently to the groups of people that we are talking with here. So I'm very excited to kind of jump into how you guys are going to handle building your own system, or how you built your own system is probably a more appropriate first question, right? Because both of you are relatively well established. You guys have been around for a while. You've done your things. Like you've been saying, Stephanie, you've been writing since you were 14, right? So you started with a system and have refined it over time.
Earlier.
Yeah, right. And then Suzanne, you've been doing this for a hot minute now. The Chat GPT stuff is the new stuff, but everything else you do, you've been doing for a good amount of time, right? So, starting with Suzanne, how would you, if you had to start all over again, how would you build the system that you're currently working in? What would be the first couple steps you think?
Well, I think, I've read a lot of Stephen Covey, and it's all about begin with the end in mind. So you kind of think about where you're going. You just don't want to flail and go around, where am I headed? What do I want to look like? What do I project? What is this going to be? And what is this going to look like? Because if you don't start with the end in mind, you don't get very far. Granted, you have to go step by step by step, but whether you're writing the book or whether you're engaging with a group or whether you're taking on a uh, new experience, such as tabletop role-playing games, whatever it is, you want to think about what's going on and what's here. And you have to have the foundation, you have to have the beginning, and you have to do your research. And then you just go from there. And I
Okay.
think that's starting with anything. There's a lot of spontaneous, there's a lot of things that happen that kind of, I never expected to get into the technology the way I did, or the assistive technology, or training people with disabilities, or having a child with a disability, but you build as you go. So not that you're building the plane while you're flying, but you're building that foundation.
I don't know. Sometimes you'd be building the plane while you're flying. You gotta work the monkey wrench and hope not to fall off the wing. Um, Stephanie, what about you? If you had to start everything all over again, what would be the first steps for you building what you've made so far, or something better now that you've been doing it for a while and kind of are like, all right, this is what I would change if I had to restart.
I think the first step, if we're looking at the coaching side of things, my first step would be to look at my skill set and go, okay, what kind of results have I created for myself? What kind of positive outcomes have I created in my own life? Or what have I taught other people to be able to create? And it could be any beneficial outcome that people desire. It could be creating better relationships, creating better health, creating a business, creating a perfect meal plan that single mothers can use while they're frantically busy and trying to raise their kids and have a career. So, I look at my skill set and see, okay, what can I do with the knowledge that I have that will benefit other people in a tangible, desirable way? And then, okay, who really, like she was saying, start with the end in mind. And then, okay, who needs this? Who needs it urgently enough that they are motivated to get it and to do something about it? Where do these people hang out? And then go find where those people hang out and actually start relationships with them. Don't just come barging in pitch first like a bull in a china shop, or like some guy approaching the players in a tavern like, take my quest. So yeah, that's the first few steps I take. And when it comes to writing, the first step I usually take when building my systems there is, what are some scenes and character types that I love? What are Usually I start with some scenes that I really love to picture, on some character dynamics I enjoy imagining, and then I try to build the rest of the story to justify their existence. Okay, here's this amazing moment that these characters are having. How did they get here? What kind of world are they living in? What experiences shaped them that they'd even have these mindsets and outlooks and perspectives that make them feel the way that they do? And that part tends to involve a lot of daydreaming.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, those are all fantastic answers to that. So I really appreciate that. Jared, what about you? As we are currently in the midst of building several other systems because that's how we be. Where do you think the right step for people that are trying to build a TTRPG system specifically need to be at?
Well, I guess it would be to determine what your needs are. What do you need the system to do? Because you can espouse like, oh, I have this idea for a thing. It's like, okay, but what purpose is it going to serve? Because there's a lot of different kinds of people who play a lot of different kinds of games. If you want something that's just kind of adaptable to everything, you're going to be doing a lot of work because you have to be able to pivot in whatever direction. If you're catering to more of the D&D crowd, you have to think, okay, well, what can I do that D&D already doesn't do better? And same goes with any other RPG system. Or case in point, I've designed a couple of games from the ground up. Didn't end up having any takers because in those particular instances, people were just so rooted in the system that was already there, they weren't really interested in something new. So that's always a challenge. But yeah, I remember for a long time we were just gonna fly the nerd flag really high again here. It's like I was part of a LARP group for a while, and we were just arguing about like, just the organization politics and stuff. And I was like, well, why don't we just write our own LARP? And I actually wrote systems for a new LARP using a lot of familiar rules that we were all familiar with, but they're all like, nah, they're either, no, we'll just stick with it even though we're having issues, or they're like, I'll just stop playing altogether. So that was the challenges I faced making a new system. And then when COVID dropped, same group, I actually wrote an entire tabletop system adapting our current LARP rules to a tabletop game. And I encountered a very similar issue. People either just stopped playing, or they're like, oh, we'll just run a D&D campaign while we wait for lockdown to get over. So knowing your audience, knowing what you need the system to do is probably the big important step, because determining your needs, then you're not sitting there doing a lot of work that you don't necessarily need to do.
Gotcha. And to kind of to plug off that one, because that's a great way to go about it, is you have to be careful that you're just doing it for the love of the game, right? Sometimes we as people just get passionate about the stuff that we really enjoy, or really hyper focus on one niche thing that is like, I really love this, so I'm going to make this, and no one else cares, right? Right? You can put your heart, soul, and effort into this thing, and sometimes art is a wonderful thing that you get to be like, hey, look, I made a thing, and you are proud of it, and that's all it is for you. Great, right? If that's your expectation and you're just making things for you, thumbs up. Good job. But if you're trying to make it for other people, there has to be some sort of a term that was used in one of our stuff that we did forever ago. One of our accelerators was you have to have a figure out if you're giving out a supplement or medicine when you are creating a product, right? Are you solving a problem or just giving a little boost, right? Are you augmenting something or are you fixing something? Both are important, right? But knowing which one you are trying to get out definitely changes how you can go about things, right? So when you are building a new system, you have to know what your product that you are producing, right? In this case, a storytelling system versus a chunky math system, right? Those are going to be built completely different. Sometimes they'll fuse together, right? There's plenty of systems that have a lot of chunk and a lot of lore, but that's only going to appeal to the very, very hyper nerdy, can focus on 4 billion things all the time people. So you're going to have to deal with that. But I digress with that. Being able to find the right, what you're shooting for kind of hits all that, right? You have to have a good foundation to know what you kind of are working with. You have to have a good idea of your end goal on where you're going, and you have to be able to figure out how to mesh all that together where you can package it to other people. Right? That's the whole process in one simple pimple step, because it's really that easy, right? Everyone thinks it's super duper easy. That's all we have to do. Yeah, go ahead.
I have a simple pimple. Yeah, simple pimple thought about that, because using a tool like ChatGPT, we can collaborate. We can all be working in the same screen in the same script at the same time and all been contributing. So rather than you're going to love my game, it's like, give me your ideas, let's expand on this, let's extend this, let's go further with that. So I think maybe the collaboration can help, because once you involve people in it, and that's one of the premises in my book, is really engaging people with their names and with their stories and with their participation, because all of a sudden it becomes all about us as opposed to all about me. We can have some more fun with it. So just something to think about.
That actually transitions really well into my next little bit here. So I'll kind of touch on that pretty hard. Because with that, all the finding your product and doing your system, getting all simple pimple, sometimes you also have to expand who and what you work with, right? Just like you were saying. And I was going to ask if you guys had any examples of working together with other people when you were crafting your systems or your businesses. So, Suzanne, since you kind of already hit most of this on the head, do you have any examples of you working with other people in the ChatGPT space?
Actually, to be honest with you, I wrote the book with ChatGPT. I use ChatGPT. I don't deny it. ChatGPT is a co-author. And you know why? Because I want people to understand how to use it. So I use the tool and teach the tool. The graphics were all generated by ChatGPT. Why? Because I wanted them ethnically diverse. I wanted different ages, and I wanted people with disabilities. So if you think about your games, you think about your scenarios, you think about where you're going, the more inclusive you are, the better. And as far as the activities and things, asking for anecdotes or doing different things, those are things based on years and years of teaching and training and curriculum implementation. So it does take a village to put all this together, and all the resources and things that I've gleaned from all of my trainings and people I've been exposed to have really enhanced how that all comes together. And chat is a wonderful resource just because it's free, it's accessible. And as I was talking to Jared earlier about it, I can talk into it while I'm walking, while I'm thinking, and then come back and it's on my phone, it's on my computer, and all of that, all of those thoughts, all of those pearls of wisdom are there. I don't forget them. Not that you young ones would have a problem with that, but as you get older, you might
Yeah,
forget
I'm
things.
gonna cut you off right now. I've had the memory of a goldfish since I was a child, so don't even throw that on young people. We be forgetting things. Uh, Stephanie, what about you?
I write my books wildly out of order. That's every book.
Well, no. The question is to you. Do you have any good examples of like self collaboration with your projects that you work on, especially with your books and things?
Now, when it comes to the books, actually, some of my early practice was on a website called Neopets, where people would have this contest where one of the site administrators writes the first section, and then people compete to write the second section. You write a section of the story that comes after that, and they choose the best one, and then the contestants have to try and write the section after that. So that was some of my early writing practice back when I was like a preteen, before I really started writing my novels in earnest. And so these days I tend to write mostly by myself. But when it comes to that thing you were saying though about forgetting things, like I actually write my books wildly out of chronological order. It's almost like a game of Racco, where you have all those cards and you're trying to put them all in order. So okay, I got all these different scenes that I've already written because I've learned the hard way. I had this beautiful, poignant, heart-wrenching scene in my head, but I didn't let myself write it until I got to the part of the book where it chronologically happens. By that time I had forgotten all the parts that made it magical, and it was just dry as dust. So I've learned, when you have a good scene in mind, just frickin' write it down right now. And then figure out where the story goes. So yeah, you don't want to forget. But when it comes to my fiction writing, that I mostly do by myself these days. When it comes to my coaching, I'm actually currently working with a lovely lady called Carletta Williams. I've got a message in my inbox right now that I plan to dig into deeper on Monday about a joint offer that we're in the process of creating, where we kind of combine our expertise in different areas, me with the content creation for the coaching programs, and her, fittingly enough, with the systems for delivering it, and combining that into a more comprehensive offer to help people to share their expertise more effectively.
Fantastic. Okay. Cool. Jared, jumping over to you really quick. This is probably a silly question, being my business partner, but can you give any examples of a collaboration in the TTRPG space?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, the most recent example is coming into the company, and we've certainly had our learning curve of learning to work together. I still feel that we're still developing that a bit, but definitely making better progress than we have in months past. I've definitely learned to work with a lot of people over the years, to, again, varying degrees of success. And what I've learned is there's now just people I go to for certain creative collaborations. Like I have a friend I've had for years. I call him my math guy. When it's anything related to mathematics in a TTRPG, or really anything, but mostly TTRPGs, is the guy just has a knack for knowing the probability of something happening when it comes to die rolls. And he will say, that's not balanced because this percentage of the time this is going to happen. And I'll be like, okay, so we need to tweak that. And he's like, yeah. So he's just a fantastic person to go to. And he's a gamer too. So he sits there, it's like, that's a really cool idea. We can't have it do that. Otherwise it's going to kill people. But anyway. So I've collaborated with him for years. There's other people I've also, like the guy who got me into D&D, I still talk to him regularly. We still talk story ideas all the time. Like he has his first campaign world that he's written. He's still writing short stories for it, and because I've actively contributed characters to that campaign world, he'll still hit me up and be like, "So I'm having this character do this. Does this make sense for this character? You came up with them." And it's been like almost 20 years since I played that character, so I'm like, "Hold on, let me get back into that headspace." But we have fun. We sit there, we just develop these stories and think about how characters would move through things. So as far as developing a system, like I said, Suzanne touched on it. It's like the more recent AI tools have been fantastic for that. And I do believe, just touching on that, you always disclose if you're using AI tools in any project you're doing, so that there's just no sense of like, you didn't reveal that. It's like, oh, sorry, I was just using it to do the work. My bad. That's at least where I would be. But then it's like, no, always up front. I used AI to help this. and like, just a peek behind the curtain for anyone listening. I typically have a lot of like just stream of consciousness ideas that I want to organize and make structured, and AI assistants have been greatly useful in that. So, and in a weird way, when you think about it, because AI is referencing so much pre-existing data, you're actually collaborating with millions of people's worth of stuff at the same time. So it's actually kind of an interesting thing to think about.
Interesting to say the least. Sorry, I think food just got here, so the children and dogs are really loud on my end. Jared, while they're being loud, I'm gonna let you ask the next question really quick.
Alrighty. There we go. So, all right. So, what would you say are the biggest challenges when you're setting out to just build a new framework or a system for a task you want to accomplish? Like any personal story you have as far as either a challenge that was really interesting or one you weren't expecting. Let's start with Stephanie this time.
Okay, so challenges for when I was building something out that I wasn't expecting. I find my surprise challenges often come in the form of technology. You think you finally got it all set up, and then this one last thing goes wrong. When I was switched to my recent news system, it actually took me like all of September just to get my newsletter set up because it all went sideways in every way possible, including the AI chatbot deciding that it totally forgot that the company I was working with that owned that AI even had a newsletter that I'd paid for, and it sent me on a wild goose chase for WordPress plugins for 3 days. So yeah, when I run into challenges, it's often in the area of technology, though sometimes it's just in the area of realizing there's this one little thing that I didn't think to figure out that I needed to figure out. So I actually kind of have to pause the project and go, okay, this little bit of logistics here that I didn't know about, this I need to figure out, or I need to ask a friend, or I need to set aside an extra hour here to just work through, okay, what all do I need to do in order to accomplish that? Yeah, that's where having an expert in your pocket can really be helpful, because they've been through all this. They know what devilish little details are going to come up during implementation, and they can walk you through it and go, okay, I know doing it like this sounds like a good idea. Don't do it. It's a trap. It'll waste so much of your time or get you in so much trouble. That I find is where those collaborative relationships can be really helpful. Relationships where you've given each other advice, where you've helped each other out, you've promoted each other's posts, you've been on each other's podcasts, and you're just willing to share your expertise with each other and help each other out when you run into those hiccups.
Fantastic.
Friends are great
Suzanne.
for that.
Yeah, they are. Suzanne, same question. What is an unexpected or interesting challenge you had when you set out to make a new system or set up a new framework for achieving a goal or a project?
Well, I guess writing this book, figuring out the power of the prompt, and within the book, what I did was, if I asked ChatGPT for something and it answered, it's italicized. So my thoughts and things are not italicized, chats are, because it's all about learning to ask questions, learning to ask the right questions, learning how to formulate the questions and get the best answers, and not being afraid to ask for help is huge with any challenge. So I've always been a great one for going around the world looking for resources for what I need. Now what I found, and I'm here with chats, so what I do if I don't understand something on my computer, on a device, on anything, I take a picture of it, I put it in chat and say, what do I do about this? I had a lens that my son-in-law wanted to buy, wanted me to sell on Facebook. I took a picture of it, and chat created a whole ad all about that. Well, imagine if you're going out in the environment and you see this really, really cool tree, and you take a picture of it and say, okay, imagine what kind of wizards, what kinds of things could live in that tree. Give me a whole scenario of what might be growing out of there, what might be going on in the roots underneath. How do I create a scenario all around this tree or this obscure object or whatever? So you can have some fun with that and really go beyond what you have in your own head, and brainstorm in a way that it's like Jared was saying, it's pulling from all kinds of resources. You've got all kinds of literature and things that you may not even know about that you now have access to. So I always ask for help.
Learning to ask for help in and of itself can be a skill that a lot of people need to learn. All right.
They need to learn it.
Okay, go ahead. All right, Rook. I'm gonna flavor the question for you just a
Oh,
bit.
no.
Don't mind me. I just tend to fiddle. This is my little Minecraft creaker. You'll see him come in and out of frames. I'm a fiddler, so I fiddle with my hands. Um, Roger, I'm gonna flavor the question for you a little
Phrasing.
bit, specifically with this business, because that's a whole system. Specifically with this business, when you were setting it up back in the beginning, what is one challenge that was either particularly interesting or one you did not expect, or maybe both?
Ooh, with this one specifically, um, the amount of people that fall in love with this game and get addicted to it, but have no idea it exists beforehand, is ridiculously high. It is one of those things in life where, like, once someone starts doing it, they fall in love almost 99% of the time. Yeah, I take that back. We'll say 89% of the time, right? There's enough room for error there. But so many adults that I've met have just had like no idea, or they've only heard of it when they were kids, or there were some weird high schoolers that played it, so they didn't have any interest in it. But they come to it as an adult. You know, people that are in their 40s and 50s step into it and be like, this is amazing. Oh, I can do it with my kids because they love it. Oh, what have I been missing out on the last 20 years of my life? You know what I mean? Things like that we get to see. And just having so much of that be prevalent as trying to sell it and do it as the service side of things when we first started was we didn't do any of the dice stuff. We just did service things. So having to like explain everything and be like, look, just try it first. You'll like it. Was a really hard way to get things to sell. Now, obviously, we've tweaked our systems since then to kind of be like ease people into the things and like figure out the right touchstones for people to be like, oh, this is why I want to do this, or this is the appropriate way to apply it to my company, or whatever, right? But when we first started, figuring out what those were, that wasn't like, have you watched Stranger Things? Did you play this when you were 15? You know, things like that. It was an adjustment to say the least.
Right. All right,
Also,
and,
I would like to go back to
sorry,
our
go ahead.
last question because the loud children were talking. But one of the things that no one mentioned that I think is relatively important for those of us that are lucky to have a significant other in our life, a spouse and whatnot.
Oh,
The collaborations that we do with our close family members, right, is excessively important for pretty much anything you do. Now, mind you, for businesses and things, you got to be careful with your babies because you don't want to listen to Uncle Bobby over here that started 26 businesses, knows what he's doing real well, uh, and actually doesn't know what a balance sheet is. Um, Avoiding those is going to be important, but making sure that you're checking yourself on with someone that is a close confidant. It doesn't necessarily have to be a wife or husband or whatever, but best friend that you talk to on the regular. Throw things by them. They'll catch things that you miss because you're in that. Oh, this is the best thing ever. Because again, you're doing it for the love of the game. You are in love with the thing you are making. If you give it to someone that isn't in love with it, and they get to look at it objectively, they're going to be able to pick it apart without hurting their feelings. Because you look at your baby and say, this is perfect and I love it and there's nothing wrong with this, and then you let someone read it out loud and you go, oh god, is that what I said? No. So just as a note, speaking of collaborations, don't be afraid to reach out to the close people that might not necessarily share the same loves that you do. Okay, anyway, you got another one, Jared, or do you want me to take over?
I was just going to comment on the question I asked as far as unexpected challenges and all that. Let's see, something unexpected or interesting. Content creation. I do content creation outside of Epic Sages. I do a Let's Play channel. It just kind of surprised me. All of the little things that are just waiting to prey on you once you put yourself out there. The most common ones I'd say are, I call them art bots, though they're not necessarily bots, but they're people who just stalk social media waiting to see if you're a content creator. And they will say, and they'll start up a conversation. They'll be real friendly, mostly asking general questions. But then they're like, hey, I'm a graphic artist. I can design your logos. Da, 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 da. And they just always just launch into a spiel. And I'm always just trying so hard to very just politely say, thank you, but no. And you're banned.
Fun story about that. That's how we got our original logo forever ago, was with one of those chat bots. Because I didn't know.
Oh well. But yeah, that was just not something I was expecting. Like the first one, I ended up engaging for hours before realizing, oh, they're just being a shill. Okay, alrighty. And if you are a graphic artist out there and you're listening now, it's like I'm not trying to discourage anyone. I'm just saying that there's groups of people who are just trying to make a quick buck and just like use an AI chatbot to design the logo and claim they're like, oh, I spent hours on this. So just be careful. Yeah, if you want to
Yeah,
field
I
the
see
next
some of
question,
those
go
like
ahead.
I've got fanfic.
Go ahead. Good story. This sounds important. Fill us in. Fanfic. Go.
I've got a few fanfics out there, and there are people who like troll on fanfiction.net or AO3 and hey, I love your story. Your characters just came to life so vividly in your mind. In my mind, I'd love to help you bring your characters to life with my art. Yeah, you have probably copy pasted this to like 100 people. Anywhere, like in art or in business, I find if somebody just gives generic compliments, it's pretty much always a bot, and they don't mean a single dang word of it. Because if they just say something like "I love your profile" or "I love your content" with no specifics about it, chances are they have copy pasted this to 100 other people, then they didn't mean it those times either. They tend to follow it up with asking a question that they would have not have asked if they'd actually read the "Hey, I love your profile. What do you do?" "I do the thing I said I do on the profile you said you loved."
That's literally my favorite thing about our Twitch stuff is probably every other time we stream we get a hey, I love your channel, first time subscriber or talker or whatever talks there for a couple seconds. Hey, but it'd be great if we met up on Discord. Here's my thing, and you're over here like our Discord is literally linked just below where you hit the chat button. Just look.
Yeah. Yeah, with me, that's usually where the shill gives up. They're like, "Do you have a Discord?" And I'm like, "Well, no. My content channel doesn't have a Discord. I don't have a large enough subscriber base to warrant a community. So, no, I don't have a Discord channel." And that's when they just leave the chat because they want to get into your Discord and spam stuff.
Gosh darn bots. We had one of those this week. It was out of the blue, 2:00 in the morning. Gotta love it. Okay, so pushing on to
I was asleep.
I was asleep.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. So going on to our next question, right? When we're talking about building the things that we make up what we do, right? What is your least favorite part of figuring out that system for you guys? What is the thing that you just dread doing? We'll start with Stephanie.
Okay, so when building up my systems, yeah, I'd say technology is usually the part that I dread building out the most. Just like I don't know, I don't really have a super potent dread, but when it comes to figuring out new systems for like hosting all the content, the content is the part I love. The tech systems for hosting it are the part that tend to bite me in the butt, especially when it's a new system. Once I really know the technology system, then it's not such an issue. But learning a new one kind of, to me, feels like being told "no, screw you" over and over. Okay, I need to do this thing. No, screw you. Go on a search, like go on a treasure hunt among all these different tabs. And of course, it's never where you expect it to be. So yeah, that's the part that I tend to find the most unpleasant.
Okay, Jared, I was gonna say you got a comment. Go.
I have a minor addition comment to what Stephanie just said. Trying to find something you don't have to pay for to make minor edits to a PDF.
Oh. I have a program bookmarked for that. I think it's still there and behaving itself, though it is kind of tricky to use. Yeah, I don't get people who send people PDFs. Oh yeah, edit this, fill this out. Yeah, with what technology? This wasn't designed to be filled out. Why didn't you just send it to me in MS Word or something?
I ain't giving Adobe a red cent of my money.
Not anymore, man. They used to be good. We were kids. Old man mode. When I was a child, it was great. Yeah. Suzanne, what about you? What is something, as you have been building this book and working with ChatGPT and doing all this new age stuff, what has been something you've just kind of dreaded while working on it?
I guess I don't dread it, but I'm disappointed how the reception is so challenging.
Okay.
How you have people who say, I use it all the time at work. I never thought to use it with my family. I'm a teacher. I use it to create my lessons. Don't want my kids to use it. I mean, these kids are growing up in this world of AI. It frustrates me to no end. And, I go back to where the computer was as big as this room and I was doing punch cards. So I go way, way back with that, where they put computers in classrooms and they said, well, the kids will never write if you give them computers. And I work with kids who have speech disabilities and challenges, and they say, well, they'll never speak if you give them a device. So this resistance to change, to embrace, For actually, I don't even know if there's a good reason for it, because it's here and it's the future. And why would we not try to make it as successful as possible? You brought up things about licensing, and absolutely these things should be licensed, and absolutely you shouldn't take other people's proprietary information. But to throw the baby out with the bathwater and say, oh, no, 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 we can't do that. It's like, I have a challenge with that. It only makes me want to do it more, but it's an interesting challenge to see all the resistance and see all the closed-mindedness, which we've seen in so many different ways, from driving the cars to to phones to, computers and all the devices and things. But it's a challenge for me to say, oh, come on, guys, really?
It's funny that you bring that
Or
up.
I'm too old to do it, or I'm too, I'll never understand it, or all that stuff. Just, it's like, no, 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 no. That's my challenge. The whole world, no. But,
It's interesting that you bring that up, though, because all of us as individuals have lived in the generations of change. The last 100 years for humans in general have just skyrocketed, literally. Rocket fuel wasn't a thing 100 years ago. Well, it was, but not as prevalent. We weren't putting things into space 100 years ago, or getting close to it, I guess. Oh man, thinking about that, that's wild. But that aside, we as people have been changing for a hot minute. So getting so much resistant to the new stuff. In 20 years, we went from VHSs and cassette tapes to iPods only and streaming only, and you don't even need a DVD player anymore. Blu-rays are kind of redundant, because you just get all your stuff on streaming. Now, mind you, should you have some physical media? Yes, you should, but you don't have to if you don't
Yes.
want to. Kind of stuff. So it is funny to see that our generation is full of people that or generations, I should say, are full of people that are just like can't stand the slightest change in developing something new. Now, mind you, to be fair, with some of the AI stuff, there is a lot of unintentional misfires or unintentional people that get sidewinded. Right? There's plenty of people that had a really easy job because they were the only people that knew how to do a thing, and now they are not the only people that can do a thing. Online artists are a big controversy for our AI conversation, because now anyone can make Van Gogh, right? You go, hey, I want a cat that's jumping off a bridge, and I want it to look like Van Gogh's Starry Night, and boom, there's an image of a cat jumping off a bridge. It might have 4 paws that you have to edit, but whatever, you're in the right direction at least. But that being said, it took away a lot of years and years of work and mastering. And some people are bitter about that, which, to be fair, if I was one of those people, I would 100% being one of the people on the other side of the fence that stick figures gave me a challenge some days. Coloring in the lines was never my expertise. I'm okay with it. It helps me a lot. So, but I do see where people are coming from with it. But it's one of those things where it really is interesting to see the amount of resistance, because it is helpful for so many people that weren't able to get to be that pinnacle of brilliance. Now have to suffer against the people that were there. But kind of jump back into our
Question.
Oh yes.
Are you guys old enough or young enough to remember Wikipedia and how anyone could put something into Wikipedia?
It's still
and
here.
Everybody used Wikipedia as a big source, and it was just it was garbage in, garbage out. And
I was
that's
taught,
the main programming thing when I started. What?
I was taught, don't cite Wikipedia, cite the sources Wikipedia is pulling from. Wikipedia is a good way to find a whole bunch of cited sources in one place, and then you can go check out those sources. You still do a lot of vet the sources. There's stuff like media bias facts check that I find is useful for saying, okay, is this left biased, right biased? Is it generally factual? Is it pseudoscience? Is it mostly just stuff they pulled out of their butts, or is it well researched? So yeah, Wikipedia is good for aggregating information, but you want to fact check it against more vetted sources. You want to use it to find more vetted sources rather than just quote it without fact checking. And I can see when it comes to the classrooms, I can see where teachers are concerned about students pretending they learned the material by having the robot write the essay for them as opposed to actually learning the material and demonstrating that knowledge. I can see where that's coming from. It's okay, are you showing your work, or are you showing a robot's ability to pull on other people's work without actually having learned the subject matter yourself? So I can see in that regard where teachers would have an issue. Like, am I grading the student's work, or am I grading the robot's work that the student didn't even put any of their own knowledge into?
So I've been reading some articles about Finland and Estonia who are teaching AI in their curriculum. And what they're doing is they're showing their students, okay, this was written by AI, find the faults in it. Or they put false information into it. Or they give them a comparison. So what they're doing is they're teaching the students to discern what's right and what's wrong. They're teaching them how to do that fact checking that comes natural to you because you've had years and years of experience. But they're giving the students the tools to say, this is what it is, but now I'm going to teach you how to discern what's right and what's wrong, and how to finesse it, and how to use it as a positive resource. So from that perspective,
That's
to use it as
smart.
part of the curriculum, it's a very different, it's a very different approach. Yeah, it's like, we're going to teach you how to think, how to process. And I think that's the most important thing that any educator can do, not teach the facts, but teach people how to process information.
Yeah, and I think that's a much smarter way than just saying don't do it. It's like sex ed. You tell teenagers just don't have sex. Well, good frickin' luck, they're going to do it anyway. You give them the information, the context to make these intelligent decisions, to assess what they're choosing, what they're doing, the impact of it's going to have on their lives. Kind of like with AI, have them look at an AI written essay and then have them fact check it from other sources so they can see, here's how it got it right, here's how it got it wrong, here's what it's good for, and here's where it's still not up to snuff at today's current level of technology. So here's why you can't use it as your final source of information at its current level of fact checking. So yeah, it's a much shorter way, I think, to have them learn to assess it objectively and think more critically about it.
On the other hand, it's a powerful way with your role-playing games to bring stuff in that's just and say, how far out can you imagine it? And what other things do you think? So again, we can play both sides.
And will it be crazier than what the players came up with?
I was gonna say never,
There you go.
never in our lives. Unfortunately, there you cannot stop the players and their shenanigans. It doesn't matter what kind of robots you throw at them. Jared, you look like you had something to add on there.
Oh, plenty. But I was just gonna stream back to the original question, and I know you're gonna ask me, what do I dread, right? Math, pure and simple. I dread math.
What are you, a third grader?
Any,
No, just playing.
well,
Sorry.
it's just complex math has always thrown me for a loop, and math has always been something I've struggled with. So if anything has more complex math than just, many-step addition and multiplication, I have to sit there and it's just not so much that it exists that bothers me. It's just that I know for me, it's going to take a lot more work. So I've always dreaded it. And then the other thing I've always dreaded is that there's a lot of what I call writing grunt work, when you have to sit there and it's like, you're not just sitting there and pouring out creativity. You're like, hey, type this out. And I'm like, okay. And especially in college, any paper in college, I'm just like, okay, tick, 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 tick. Yeah, that just, you don't feel like you're creating. You don't feel like you're being productive. You feel like you're just tapping away and hoping it's good enough, which, coincidentally is something AI tools have been very, very helpful with. They can help do a lot of that grunt work, and then you just have to go through and check its work and make sure it's not being dumb.
This is not what I said. Do it right.
This is not what I wanted. No. This is not right.
There is a math tutor. There is a math tutor created by Khan Academy that's in chat, that if you put the problem up, it will not give you the answer, but it'll say, where do you think you start? What do you think the operations need to be? What are the numbers you're trying to get? So that process, that missing link where you said, I didn't get it, it's going to try and walk you through that with infinite patience.
I remember
Just
when I
something
was in
about-
high school, they had a computer site that was like that called, what was it called? I'm going to say Animeus, but that probably wasn't actually what it was called. But you would put in your problem and it would give you the whole breakdown, step by step, bit by bit. It would give you the answer eventually, but it would explain everything in due process so you actually understood it, kind of thing. It was nice. Way before chat, but it was lots of fun. to just throw random things in there and see what it could come up with. To answer my own question about what dreading when building a system, kind of going back to the beginning of this business, was separating money stuff from my personal finances versus business stuff. I'm one of those people that debates buying something for $20 in person. Be like, do I really need this? Is this important? And now we do thousands of dollars of orders. You know what I mean? That just like, oh, it's the beginning of the month. I got to order a couple $1,000s worth of stuff. But send things in, things out. We still go over to make sure everything is what we want and what we need. But we're still spending way more money as a business than I do as a personal person. And that was always a hard transition to get into. Like, I have to spend money so we can make money. That's a saying that's said all the time, kind of in a marketing bit, right? Is you got to spend money to make money. Well, you can't sell things if you don't have things, and to have things, you have to spend money, which is the other part of that equation that people forget. Luckily, when we first started, there wasn't a ton of that, but when we actually switched over to selling physical products, that was a big jump for us. But yeah, next question before we're kind of actually at the end of time here. So we're going to do our last minute final thoughts on all the stuff and thing. Give you guys a couple minutes to talk about your guys' stuff one more time before we get out of here. So we're going to start with Suzanne. Suzanne, what are your kind of final thoughts on building the systems that we make? What is your number one takeaway when you the next time you got to build something for your next book or something that you're working on? What is the first step that you're going to do or make sure that you go back and check on, kind of thing?
Boy, that's a good question. That's a really good question because number one, you don't want to reinvent the wheel because it already exists. But number two is, you can make it better. So what the heck? So I think, before starting a new project, if you hear and you're in a position to hear what people want, to hear what people are looking for, to hear what they need, that's a good place to start. You got to be open to that possibility, to look around and see what's needed before you just jump right in. So I think that's the big thing is there a need for it? Is it a want or a need? We started in preschool. Is that a want or a need? Well, if it's a need, then we can work on it. If it's a want, I don't know. So that's a good question to ask yourself from any age.
I was going to say, as an adult, super important. Stephanie, what about you? Oh, sorry. Before we get to Stephanie, muted myself there. One more time. Where can people find you?
I'm on the web, chatandsuzanne.com, and the book is on Amazon. And and I'm open for consultation, for trainings, for public speaking, anything where people want to know more. And because of my experience with people with disabilities and with Down syndrome, I could go on and on about what it's like to raise a child with a disability and how these resources can really help the family. Because I've had years of working with people with all kinds of physical and cognitive delays, I can talk about, integrating everyday needs and making them accessible. And that's where I'm coming from. So whether you contact me at my email is chatandsuzanne@gmail.com. You see a pattern there? Life is all about patterns, guys. You know that. So the email is chatandsuzanne@gmail.com, and the website is chatandsuzanne.com.
Fantastic.
But look at my website, a lot of information on where to begin. I don't want to start at the end. I don't want to make it too complex. It just starts at the very beginning.
Sweet. Stephanie, your turn for your final question. Again, same setup here for you. When you move on to your next project, when you're starting your next system, or maybe your next book, what is your takeaway from this? How are you gonna build your foundations? What is the first step to making your new system?
Yeah, when I'm making my new system, it's like Suzanne said, I start with the end in mind. What is it supposed to accomplish? Why do people need it? Why is it important for people? And how is it going to help people in a way that they don't already have, that they don't already know how to do? How is it going to make life easier for them? And then ask, okay, what do they need in order to accomplish it? Do they need information? What information do they need? And for those of you who are creating your own systems for helping people level up their skills, it's so important to remember that a lot of the stuff that you assume is common knowledge actually isn't that common. So A, you're more of an expert than you think, and B, For goodness sake, explain your system really comprehensively. Don't be those people who say, open this tab without saying how to open or how to find the tab in the first place. Don't be one of those people who says, notice what limiting beliefs you have without telling them what a limiting belief is and how to notice it. So yeah, and figuring out what all the information I need to include is to make sure that even a layperson can understand my system and use it. Another would be look at what other tools and resources do they need in order to use the system that I'm creating for them? Do they need checklists, scripts, templates, recipes? What do they need in order to use this system and reach their level cap as quickly and easily as possible, and with as little guesswork as possible? Because the more of your own expertise you can put into a system, the more easily your fellow players can use it. So those are a few of the things I look at when creating my system to see how can people use this system as easily, efficiently as possible to get the biggest result as quickly as possible.
Good.
Nice. I like how you said that. Though, before we push forward, where can people find you?
And my coaching website is coachclientconnection.com. My email for that is Stephanie. It's STEPHANIE at coachclientconnection.com. And if you're interested in my novels and my free to read short stories, my art, my webcomics, you can find those on StephanieO'BrienBooks.com. That's Stephanie and OBRIEN books.com.
Fantastic. Okay. Jared, you're the last man for thoughts and opinions besides myself over here. Do you got any last minute thoughts on this one?
Well, a lot of great things have been touched on already. Not really a lot I could add as far as what's already been said. However, as far as just adding a little my own here, as far as the system, if you're sitting and you're trying to decide if a new system needs to be made for whatever it is you're interested in, like say an RPG, don't be afraid to explore the idea and see what a system you would design would look like. Just always be prepared to just take a step back and see if it's actually doing what you want it to do. Always explore an idea. Just always be sure to temper it, because in my experience, a wide range of different gamers and creatives I've known, you could run any kind of risk of like you've overcomplicated the problem and now it's too dense to penetrate by fixing the problem, or worse, you've taken away too much and now there's nothing to work with. So just the only way to get good at it and know to strike that balance is to just practice. Just keep going at it. If you have an idea that you think might improve a system or build a new system, go for it. Write it out, see how it looks, and either it works or it won't, or maybe it just needs further tweaking after some input. And then the other thing I would say, as far as, because we've touched a lot on the AI thing, is like I was just sitting here just thinking, like, if I had to boil down my philosophy as far as like, well, what can we do as far as using like all the AI tools and whatever responsibly? It's like, I think you could boil it down to an acronym, which ironically translates to ART: accountability, responsibility, transparency. Just anytime you're making anything or involving AI, just follow those three principles: accountability, responsibility, transparency. Just make sure that all of those bases are touched, and I think ethically you're probably going to be in a good spot, depending on what it is you're doing. Obviously, it's not a catch-all for everything.
I was going to say, you're going to piss some people off using that acronym.
Oh, I know.
You done goofed it.
But hey, you know what?
I like it though. For the record,
you don't accomplish anything unless you take that kind of risk. So
you know what they say. There's always enemies if you're going the right direction.
Oh, careful! Some people get stuck in really bad rabbit holes. You do that kind of thing.
Sorry, video games. We gotta in Minecraft in video games. All right. For us, Epic Sages, I will give codes and things. Jared, do you have anything fun going on the couch this week?
Couch Quest. I only have a PlayStation, so I need to get in touch with Veerling and see if he wants to pick back up our Baldur's Gate playthrough collaboration for Epic Sages. I feel like he will, but I want to make sure that his schedule's not crazy. So I'm going to be talking to him to see about picking that pack up. I've done a few episodes of Stardew Valley as a nice little gap filler. It's been super chill and super stress relieving for me, given how winter has been going so far. And then I'm still trying to finish up my playthrough of Pokemon Infinite Fusion. So that's what's going on over at Couch Quest right now.
Fantastic. And then for us this coming week, we have
Valley Solidarity.
Yeah, don't get us started on Stardew Valley. We'll talk for 30 minutes. This week, Monday, we have Cosmere, episode 10, so our qualification episode Monday, so that'll be fun. And then for D&D, Wednesday, episode 21. I realized while I was looking at our videos on YouTube that we had 17 two times. So last week when we called the episode 19, it was actually episode 20. I've since rectified that on the YouTube channel. But mistakes were made. Also, y'all think about our friend Jesse, Mr. Amazing Jesse. Unfortunately, he is dealing with the terrible weather that the country is experiencing. He's getting 12 inches of snow in the next couple days, which is why he is not going to be able to join, or wasn't able to join us tonight, unfortunately. But that's neither here nor there. We'll catch him in the future. For our stuff, we don't have any events until the start of next month, which is rapidly approaching. But website's code is still base 907, because at the start of the year we're having a strong foundation. It's a base. Yeah, that's it. Wonderful star guests. Before we take off, I need a number between 1 and 4 from both of you, please.
3.
3.
Number 3,
Thanks.
both of you. Oh, all right. You guys picked my sad song. All right. With adventure in mind, have a wonderful time. Bye.
Thanks a lot for this opportunity.
I keep thinking I should have more to give, more hours, more answers, more air to breathe. I count the spaces where I fall short and hope you never notice the seams. I measure days and things I miss, bedtime stories cut in half. I spend my patience way too fast and hate myself for wanting it back. I swear I'm trying, I swear it's true, but the world keeps asking for more than I can do. You are all my time, even when I'm not there. You are all my time, in the way you stare. I hope you know I'm doing the best I can. You are all my time, even when it slips through my hands. I never learned how to be enough, just how to work and how to cope. I trade my fears for quiet nights and call it exhaustion.